Hello, everyone. Welcome to my Valentine's Day special live stream. Hope you can hear me okay. Let me know if that's all right. We had some mic issues last time. So today what's going to happen is I'm going to do a large Zodiac spread, which is going to be for all of us. And it's going to be sort of a relationship-based spread on what we can expect for the coming year. For those of you, I'll talk a little bit more about it, but this year is quite a significant year astrologically for relationships. So I wanted to do a zodiac spread for that because that's quite good for sort of short to medium term readings like that. And then afterwards, I'm going to open up to questions. Oh, my sister's here. Hi, Bex. Nice to see you. She's also very psychic, so magical woman there. And yeah, so we're going to do the zodiac spread, and then I'm going to open up to relationship related readings afterwards from the audience. So that's kind of like the mission for today. Just a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. And also, so yeah, for those of you who would like to do one-on-one readings for me, then you can go to my website, which you can see on the screen right now. And there's a limited number of slots available, but I do a different range from quick readings, which can be 10 to 30 minutes long, or we can do a full reading where I set up sacred space for half an hour and then we do an hour, we can deep dive into things. So there's a couple of different kinds of readings you can get there. And if you go to my website, it will look like this. And yeah, just so if you go looking for it, you find the right one. And another thing that I want to bring to your attention, if you don't know already, is my Tarot by Thea Facebook group. This is where you're going to get notified if there is a live stream coming up, and you also get updates that I don't post anywhere else, and some other tarot, maybe even astrological stuff that I'll be putting in here. So if you ever want to just keep up to date with me in between live streams, this is the place to be. So you can just search for Tarot by Thea, or I'll put the website up for you now. 1 second. There we go. So you can go here, and you'll find me there. So that's main little bit of promotion stuff. So just for today, well, I'm trying out today. I've been having issues with the video, and I can still see that we have a little bit of issues. And I think, I'm not sure if it's because I'm streaming to too many platforms or if there's just some resolution limit with my account. I'm still trying to figure that out. So please bear with me as I do that. But what I've done today is I've come down into my living room, and that's why the background's different and all of that. And cool, Chrome. Yeah, if you hang around after the Zodiac, then I'll get a reading for you. But yeah, so the downside here is the lighting is not as good. I've done my best with as many lamps and stuff as I can to make it look good. Leo, because this is open plan here, Leo, my cat, may join us at some point. He's asleep right now on a chair over there, so hopefully he stays that way, but you never know, he might decide he wants to join us at some point. We'll see if the video is better overall here. Otherwise, there's obviously something else going on that I'll have to try and figure out. And the other issue is that I have my heat pump just up here, so I hope it's not going to interrupt the audio too much, but if it is making too much noise, let me know and I can switch it off. So yeah, okay, so let me go to our card cam, because we're going to go into a Zodiac spread. So as you can see on the screen, it says the relationship node axis. For those of you who are in the know about astrology, we have these things called the north and south node, and they're opposite one another in like the astrological chart, depending on where they are. And every 18 months, they change signs. And in July last year, they changed into what we call the relationship axis, which is Aries and Libra. They're the opposite signs to one another. And the North Node is in Aries, which is about the self, and the South Node is in Libra, which is about relationships, our relations to other people. So we are in this sort of process where this time where the energies are sort of ripe for dealing with relationships, all kinds of relationships, how we relate to others, how we show up in relationships. And so this may be a time where we see people coming into new relationships, ending new relationships, changing the dynamic of their relationships, and things like that. So it's a very apt time. And since it's Valentine's Day, I thought it'd be good to do a zodiac spread for all of us to see what's sorry, I got distracted there with the chat. To see what's in store for us for the coming month to a year, because the zodiac's good for sort of that showing us the next month to a year. And I'll go over that as we do the actual reading. And since it's, you know, sort of Valentine's Day, perfect time to do it, right? So, yeah, I think no further ado. Oh, and just to say, the nodal axis that we're in, we're going to stay throughout. We're going to be in that the whole of 2024. I think it must change in January next year. So this year is a really good year to be working on your relationships, opening up to new relationships, letting go of old relationships, and all of that. So let's get into it, shall we? Just want to have a little check in the chat before we go. Yeah, okay. All right. So I'm just going to tune in for a moment, and then I'll shuffle the cards. And for the people who know me, I could shuffle for a while. It could be very quick. We'll see how long it takes. All right. Okay, so what do we as a collective need to know about our relationships for the coming month to a year as we're in this relationship node axis? Well, that's interesting. The High Priestess just decided to jump out. So maybe there's a few things that we're not supposed to know yet. Or maybe it's going to be spiritual connections or our connection to our intuition. So relationships can be other things, right? Our relationship to our intuition. But anyway, let's see what the full reading gives us. Maybe it is going to be an important year for our connection to spirit. No. Almost. Four. Ooh. And that's interesting. So Maybe we're going to be walking away, having some time in solitude. Anyway. Okay, I'm just going to come over a little bit so I can do this. I'm going to just bring this over a little bit. Wow. And let's put something in the middle for the mood. Oh, we have the Empress again. Last time I did a Zodiac, we had the Empress as well. Okay. All right, so let's see how that's looking. Just play with that a little bit. Get that looking nice. What's that? It's okay. Hello, Voodoo Sorceress. Nice to see you. Where are you in the world? I'm just going to bring my mic over a bit while I do this. Okay, so it looks like it's definitely going to be a turbulent time. So here we have Aries, here, the first house. And like I said, this is about our sense of self, our identity. It can also be about our attitudes and approach to life, how we appear and present ourselves in the world. And it's also about beginnings as well. Now, we have some conflict here, but it's a minor amount of conflict. It's what we call a minor setback in the tarot. So we may be feeling, particularly in this next month, maybe some conflicts and doubts. Maybe there's some unresolved things in our relationships that's coming up to be surfaced, but none of this is how do we say it? It's, you can overcome this fairly easily. It's just something that needs to be worked through. And this is opposite the Page of Cups. Okay, so for this, I'm getting forgiveness. So there's a need to forgive, perhaps not just others, but also ourselves. And so maybe there's some minor frictions that are coming to the surface to give us an opportunity to find forgiveness or to let things go. The Page of Cups is well, it's a cup, so it's emotional and heart-based. It can be about surprises. Maybe something in our relationships is going to throw us a little bit, and maybe that's going to give us an opportunity to forgive others or ourselves in certain situations as this conflict arises or this friction arises. Anything else wants to be said about that? We could also be conflicted within ourselves. It doesn't necessarily mean with the other person. It could be about our view of others, but also maybe our view of how we show up in relationships. Maybe there's a part of us that's struggling to actually maybe vocalize something or to get what we need. Um, so it could be an internal struggle because that is on the Aries side, but maybe there's a need to forgive ourselves or to be forgiving of others. Hmm. Anything else? So I'm just going to look around. So this one is also aspected by these two here. So there could be some anger that is still to be resolved. It could be there is a waiting for another way to present itself in terms of moving forward. And it could be this the surprise aspect. There could be something that is going to come that's going to make us aware of something we weren't aware before, something that's going to maybe come out of left field. But this is maybe something karmic that's coming to the surface that maybe needs to be looked at, and it will require forgiveness in order for it to for that karmic process, that karmic cycle to sort of like complete. Now, one of the things about February is in a few days is we're in the 18th. We're going to be moving into Pisces, and that is all about endings and karmic connections and endings, as well as some other things. So it could be that we have some karmic things coming up with our relationships that are perhaps going to be a bit of a wake up call. Perhaps maybe judgment's going to arise in our mind, and that might be some of this conflict here that we're seeing. But there is a need to be forgiving in order to move through it, and also to sort of allow whatever karmically is coming up to come to a close. Because by not forgiving, we're keeping these things open. Right. So let's move on. So we have the second house, which is the house of Taurus, and this is about what we value. It could be about our finances, our work, our income, but it can also be material possessions. It could be the things we prioritize, the things that our principles are based on, our ethics, things like that. So we have the Five of Swords. Hmm. So when I said values and principles, I'm feeling like it's more to do with that. That maybe there've been places where our principles have caused division in our relationships. Perhaps we had a hard line about something, and it's made us um, maybe close off relationships or only have relationships with some people on a superficial level, not as deeply as we had before would like. Maybe this has caused some anger. Maybe there've been, a rift that has come up in the past or is about to come to a head again, or for the first time in this next month. So maybe there's some, but again, this is a five, and this is because it's swords. This is probably more mental. So this is the way we're thinking about things, our attitudes, and all of that. So I feel like the places where maybe when we took a stance on something and we had to stand on principle, and maybe that caused risk. Other people decided, no, I can't be having that. And so that caused a rift because of a decision someone else made. Or it could be that a hard line that we took, which then separated ourselves from other people. But it looks like there is some kind of, because we're going opposite here, and this is in the eighth house of Scorpio. It feels like maybe there's going to be some things coming to light that allow that hard line to soften. And it could be that the other side learns something that allows them to come forward to you, or perhaps you to them. But either way, it's like there's a bit of a wake up call happening. And even though there's been maybe hard judgments around this in the past, there is, it's almost like it's coming up now for a reason, because we've got the karmic thing here as well. It's coming up for a reason now, and it's an opportunity to actually begin to start healing that. Because we've got around this card here, we've got the Queen of Wands, and we've got that's truth and integrity, among other things. So it's almost like we've had to stand. Maybe some of us had to stand on principle and be true to ourselves, but that's cost us in some way with relationships. And there is something coming to light, and this may play out over the next year, because this is on the top half of the reading, but this is also a major arcana, and major arcanas tend to play out over a year or so. So it could be that you're going to see over the course of this next year that any place where there was hard lines, and maybe like relationships were broke off, or that there was a real rift or damage to a relationship, that there may be an opportunity to start working through it. It may be that it gets a bit harder before it gets better, though, because we've got these obstacles to overcome. Anything else that wants to be said? So we have the Empress here, and she is like the atmosphere. This is a possibility for our relationships to become a lot more nurturing. And so even though we may be going through a bit of turbulence, because this is the time that we have to look at this stuff, the what's going to allow is for us to create space for much more nurturing relationships. So even though there has been rifts, we have this opportunity to actually move in this direction. Okay, anything else for those two? Okay, I'm just gonna get some tea. One sec. All right. So now we go into the third house, which is of Gemini. So this is how we're communicating. This is how we're thinking. This is like how we're learning our education and stuff like that. So our sort of, it's a very mental card or house. And so here we have the Queen of Wands. So we're sitting very much, particularly in this next month, but probably also as the year unfolds, in our truth and integrity. But we have, very interesting enough, we have the Devil opposite, and that's a Sagittarius. That could be about our beliefs. So it could be our belief systems. Our beliefs are being tested. We may even be, and I talked about this in the previous episode, that when I did the Zodiac spread, that our attitudes are going to be shifting a lot. We're going to have to let go of a lot. But I feel like with the Devil there, it's almost like it's bedeviling our thought process. So it could be that we're being really tested in order to stay true to ourselves in our relationships. And it could be that we've got some relationships that are due to end. And in that process, we're going to have stuff coming up that is going to test us to see, can you stand in your integrity? Can you walk away from a relationship, or set your boundaries, or say when something's not right in a relationship? Because thoughts and words very much in this house here. Can you communicate from a point of integrity even when you're facing this? Or does your thoughts or words get corrupted by this? So you could be in a group setting and perhaps you have someone that's really negative, perhaps has a different point of view to you, or polar point of view to you, but is very perhaps very charismatic, or perhaps very convincing? Um, and can you stay in your integrity in such situations? Can you do the right thing that you know is right, even if it might cause some anger, even if you might have to valiantly defend the high ground on your own? Um, so it could be that we're going to see, particularly over this next year, some people showing their true colors, some people that we maybe need to let go of, or beliefs around our relationships that are poisonous, because this could be about how we are viewing our relationships as well, how we're thinking about our relationships. And sometimes we can get in our head and overthink things, or judge people harshly, or have a lot of maybe have a lot of guilt or a lot of shame around certain relationships. And so it maybe there's this tug of war actually mentally in how we view our relationships. It may not even have any basis in reality. This it might just be how we're viewing it and how we're thinking about our relationships. How do we interpret the various interactions that we have with people? So we could be tested a lot in terms of how we analyze our relationships and how people are treating us and how maybe we're treating them. But it requires us to really actually look at the truth of what's going on and not get sucked into this kind of thinking. But it's also possible that we're going to have situations actually play out in relationship dynamics where there is that kind of there might be some relationships that need to be let go of. But I'm feeling this is more about our ways of communicating and our attitude, you know, with other about other people and how we're communicating with other people. So there is a real need to make sure that we communicate from a place of truth and integrity, and that when we're thinking things over in our mind, that we don't get sucked into this kind of thinking. We stay here and really evaluate things from a place of truth and not our fears. Okay, anything else there? Okay, so I'm also getting that there's maybe an opportunity to reevaluate how we feel about our relationships. Perhaps we've had feelings of shame, guilt, doubt, fear around relationships, and perhaps we're going to get an opportunity to actually reevaluate that and see, is that still true? Because sometimes if we get hurt in the past, particularly if we were younger, we might have a very set view on how a relationship with a person is, and over time that might change. So there might be the possibility for us to rethink um, how our relationships are. So, are we judging someone too harshly? Do they judge us too harshly? Can we forgive that? Is there the possibility to move on, or do we just need to sort of come to a better understanding and still let it go? You know? Yeah. Anything else? Okay, I think we need to move on. So the fourth house is the house of Cancer, and this is where we're rooted. This is our home. And this is also like the divine feminine. It's our foundation. It could be our family, self-care, things like that. So this could be um, a lot of things. Now here we have, this is like the progression. This is like the path to the next year. So from this month to the next year, where we have Capricorn here. So it seems in our root So this is a card of valor. This is about like defending the high ground, going our own way, doing our own thing. So we have to be prepared to again be integral to ourselves and follow the path that's right for us, even if other people are sort of jostling to tell us what to do, have other opinions on that. So this might be a case of perhaps particularly with family, um, where we're being asked to really stick to our guns about what is the right us living our lives the right way, but also not getting sucked into other people's opinions too much or being allowing people to take us off our path. So maybe there's going to be some familial stuff in particular where we're being tested. Like, can you are you really are you really on? Is this really the path you want to take in your life? That kind of stuff. And if we could stay true to this, then we're going to find ourselves in a lot more nurturing relationships because it could be by sticking to our guns, by sticking to what's right for us. Um, we're actually going to attract people into our lives who are congruent with that, that are who think the same way, maybe have similar passions or interests or whatever the case may be. It may mean that we lose some people along the way. That's always possible. But I think if we're staying true to ourselves, we're going to find that we're going to live a much more. We're going to have more nurturing relationships because they're more in line with us. But we're also going to perhaps see more abundance and perhaps even love as well because we've got the Venus card here. Maybe it's an opportunity that by really sort of getting your foundation right in your life, that you're going to naturally bring in people who are in alignment with that. Which whenever we try to live what the life we think we're supposed to live, you know, we're out of alignment then, and therefore we're not attracting actually what we want and what we need. And I'm feeling like this is a case of both with our principles, sticking to our principles, following what it is that we feel is the right move, whether that's what we do or just in how we act in our everyday lives, and being integral to our principles and not getting swayed by the crowd in terms of what's popular, perhaps, but actually doing what's right in our heart and our own conscious and making that the foundation of our life, then we're going to have a very successful life. We're going to maybe attract more people that are more in better alignment. So, and perhaps even there's the opportunity for love as well. So we have the King of Wands here in Capricorn. So this is a card of like spiritual mastery, high reputation. So it's yeah, I'm just looking at the we might be seen in higher regard in a year's time than we are now if we do this. It may be that there's some it may be it takes a little time for it to show itself, but I think this because we've got wands here. I think this is a spiritual test and a spiritual journey. So it's like, can we be willing to swim against the current if that's what's necessary in order to stick to our principles and what's right in terms of how we live our lives, even if it costs us some people in our lives, and move forward with integrity and then have the potential to not only live a more integral life that maybe puts us in higher reputation in a year's time, no matter what that is, but also is going to be a spiritual test that matures within a year, and then the fruits of that comes through. And then we have the Empress, where it could bring more love into our lives, more nurturing relationships into our lives, maybe even abundance as well, because this is about what we're doing as well. So yeah, it's almost like we might be tested in our integrity, in our relationships, and in our just lives in general. And it could be that it's a struggle to begin with, but over the course of the year, I think some people are going to wake up that that may come around that maybe didn't see it straight away. So yeah, and because we've got this card here, so it may be difficult. It may be a difficult struggle. This is part of the test. Um, we may come up against people who have completely diametric views or tried to throw us off a course. We could have the need for higher discernment in order to make sure that we are focused in the right way and not getting distracted by options that take us off our path. Yeah. Is there something else wants to come through? Hmm. No, I think that's we'll carry on. So the next house is the house of Leo. So this is about this can be about romance and affairs and love and play and creativity, fertility, joy, self-expression, and even drama. So this is a fire sign. And we have the hangman opposite the four of cups here. So, hmm. So there might be a lot of yeah. So I'm getting with the hangman is about waiting in discomfort, but the wait enlightens you over time. It helps you grow spiritually. And then we have the Four of Cups, which is about the need for discernment and remembering that we may be evaluating these options here, but something can come out of left field unexpectedly, and present us with another option that we weren't expecting. So it feels like I'm getting the sense of people who have been waiting to act on love. So and it may not necessarily be it may be certain factors in your life. It could be that, certain things have happened that have meant that you're not ready yet for what's next in your life, or you've had to, you had to do some healing. Perhaps there's been some life circumstances that have put you in a situation where it's not possible yet, or something that's held up the process, or working through the discomfort of opening yourself up again, and that process that happens over time. And it could be that you're maybe even evaluating a few uh, possibilities. Maybe there's a few people on your horizon, or or perhaps, no, well, there's something else. Maybe you're even evaluating how you want to move forward. Maybe you're trying to work out, do I need more time to wait and heal? Do I need to wait for a certain event to pass in my life so that's not weighing on me? Perhaps there's something in my job that's demanding or my home life that's demanding. Um, and perhaps another opportune moment or situation is on the horizon that you're not even aware of yet. Something that might happen in the moment spontaneously that could actually open a door that you weren't expecting. But I feel like, because we've got the hangman, it is in the part of the reading that's for the next month, but, it could be that even if something starts to happen after this month, maybe there's, like, almost a shadow period, a bit like in astrology when something happens, there's a period afterwards where it affects you. So it could be there's a period where there's still some discomfort. So even say, for example, since could be romantic, say you meet someone in the next month, or you start to date someone in the next month. It could be there is still some discomfort that might play out over the next year as you're learning to open up again, as you're learning to be vulnerable. Perhaps even, you might be dating, so there might be a few different people you start to see before, one of them becomes serious, for example. So there might be a period, however it plays out, where it still might be uncomfortable, but with the Empress here, there is a real opportunity here for actually finding someone, even though even though the process might be difficult. So if people have been having issues, okay, I'm also getting another way we could look at this. This could also be about people who have been waiting in relationships that they probably needed to consider leaving. So that there are two different ways this could be. So I think you could be evaluating your options. Do you stay or do you go? And perhaps this limbo you've been in, or perhaps this place that you've been in your relationship where it hasn't been meeting your needs, it's been going, not been going the way that you hoped. And this could be long-term relationships or ones that have been not as long. But I did get the feeling of limbo here. So maybe you've been in a situation where um, you've been seeing someone, but it's undefined, and you still haven't even calling each other boyfriend, girlfriend, or something like that. So it could be that, or perhaps it's not even exclusive yet, or something like that. So there could be a sort of limbo situation that's going on that needs to be evaluated to see whether this is, it needs some discernment here to see whether this is something that can continue or not. But to also remember that in those situations when you're in that, you're closing the door to other things because you haven't fully let something go. So it could be you're just not seeing another, or you're not getting another opportunity because you're really focused on what you're hoping to get out of a relationship. So there's this possibility as well, and being sort of like you're waiting for hoping that a third way is going to open up where you get what you need, but actually you're kind of still sitting on the fence because you're not getting what you want. And it could be this person is very charismatic. It could be the person is uh, perhaps, has a high reputation, somebody very easy to get drawn to, and so you would like to make it work, but maybe this month in particular, but certainly over the course of this year, you have to consider if that's where you want to spend your time, if your needs aren't being met. So yeah, I kind of feel like there's two different ways you could look at this. But here we have the hangman here, but around it we have justice as well as balance. So you have to you have to you have to consider your needs, whether this person is really able to meet them. And we've got justice here, which can be about karmic relationships. So it could be there's something karmic going on that's needing to happen. And it could be that, there are other ways you could look at this. But I think the ones that are jumping out of me are situations where there has been a holding back out of fear of opening up and being vulnerable, and situations where you're in it already, but it's uncomfortable. And maybe the process of either learning to make it work by communicating your needs and seeing if it's possible to get those needs met, or dealing with the discomfort of leaving. So it seems like with this card, there's a real need to discern things with open eyes, because it's very easy to when we're in romantic relationships to get so caught up in the moments where it feels good that we overlook the things that aren't working, particularly in the early stages. So anything else that wants to be said about that? Okay, yeah. So this process of discernment here, it's also part of a spiritual test or maturing process, because we go from everything as long as we're moving forward in some way. It's when we stagnate that. So yeah, when we sit on the fence waiting for a situation to change, it could potentially just continue indefinitely that way, which can then lead to conflict. So we need to be able to look at our relationships honestly with ourselves and say, are we getting what we want? And in situations where we are in a relationship, but we are having difficulty opening up, then it's about learning to be kind enough to ourselves so that we can gain a resilience, so that we can actually take the risks necessary and actually open up when needed, but still being ourselves, sticking to who we are. And if the person isn't right for us, being willing to go, okay, then now I know, and I can try and find who is right for me. Anything else? No. Okay. So I'm going to move on to Virgo now, which is opposite Pisces. So Virgo is about our health, our analytical nature, our work habits, our discipline, the way we are of service. So this can be how we're showing up in relationships in terms of how we're giving to our partners in this sense. So we have justice opposite the Two of Swords. Hmm. Hmm. So this is about fairness and balance. How do we balance? How do we? How do I say this? How do we? Okay, I'm getting keep peace, but I don't think it's just that. I think it's relationships. It's like, although some things are not 50-50, you both need to be showing up with your best. But on any given day, our best varies, of course. And this is about fairness as well, being fair with one another. But then we have the Two of Swords. Just going to feel into that. One sword, two swords. We have the one sword here, we have the two swords there. And that's our, yeah, and this is a very karmic aspect here. Because this is a very karmic card, and this is about karmas and also endings. Mm. Hmm. There are two sides to every story. Being able to hear one another, listen to one another. It'd be fair, compromise, even if it's uncomfortable. Again, we've got the forgiveness here. I think we're being asked to listen to one another. Yeah, because this could be about what's hidden, particularly, and also limiting beliefs. That's right. It's almost like that needs to be vocalized, because we can have a belief and it can kind of like, or even just a thought, and it can fester in us, or it can, we don't vocalize it. We can have beliefs about other people, about how they are in the world, or how they will react to certain things. I'm getting this feeling of the parts of us that we hide, perhaps out of fear of how the other person will react. These are the very things that we need to consider sharing. It requires still some discernment. We don't share everything about ourselves, obviously. And we might be afraid that we're going to cause conflict or friction or some anger. That might even be necessary. But there's almost this feeling of maybe that stuff's coming up to the surface, like it needs to be cleared out. And this could be, it's supposed to happen around this time. And perhaps it's going to cause some people to be aware of certain aspects of us that perhaps we haven't shared. And that might be vulnerable, but it may also allow people to understand us better. It may make us, in a position where other people might judge us, but it's almost like there's this feeling of like there's something deep within that needs to be vocalized. That's what I'm feeling. Hmm. I think we need to be willing also to know again, because I'm getting the two sides to every story, like being fair enough to allow our partners or the other person in our life, it may not just be romantic, it could be a family member, a coworker, or something, but being fair enough to give the other person the opportunity to say their piece so that we can hear both sides of a situation and we're not just sitting with our sides silently internally within and making that our worldview. And perhaps it will give us a bit of peace because sometimes we can be internally conflicted because of belief that we have. And then when we air it, we can find maybe there's an error in our thinking or it's not entirely true. And having the other person's perspective actually allows us to put, some kind of doubt or whatever to rest. And sometimes we need to bring stuff up, and it does cause an argument, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's the end of the relationship. It's just something that needed to be aired so that we could figure out what's actually the problem and try to find a way through it. But I'm getting with kindness. This needs to be done with kindness. Again, this fairness, kindness. We have to come with it with kindness. The willingness to be open to it. Open to what the other person has to say. And not just make our thoughts and attitudes the only voice in the room. Because we might be surprised by something that someone says. It might come out of left field and hit us with a viewpoint that we hadn't thought about. And that makes all the difference. And actually, by giving one another space to actually have these open and honest conversations, that in itself is an act of service to the relationship and can be healing. Can also help with our mental health because we know the reality of the situation and not whatever we put up here. Whew, okay. Well, that was quite powerful, that bit. Just gonna get some more tea. And I just got, because Virgo can be very disciplined, like creating the discipline of doing this regularly, not just waiting for things to blow up, but actually just regularly checking in with one another as an act of service, making it almost like like a discipline in how you maintain a relationship. Anything else? No? Okay. All right. Okay. Wow, we've already been going over an hour. This was taking a long time. Sorry, guys. We'll get to the readings soon, the personal readings. Okay, so we've got Libra. Oh wow, thanks, Deco. Thank you. I'm glad that resonated with you. So Page of Cups for Libra, opposite the Five of Wands for Aries. So this Libra is the house of relationships, and this is all kinds of relationships, not just romantic. How we relate to others. And we have the Page of Cups. So, okay, so I just got into my head. People may surprise us. So in this period, the next month to a year, people might be surprising us. Maybe there's something that, is gonna have us wake up to maybe aspects of them or viewpoints they have or beliefs that they have, or perhaps they're going to be changing in some ways. Perhaps they're going to be detoxing bad like behaviors or ways that they've been seeing things. Perhaps they're going to change the way what they need in an intimate way, and it might cause some friction because of this. But it could be people. There is something happening right now that's because we've got the Judgment and Justice here. I'm getting the feeling like maybe there is some karmic shifts that are happening within people. Perhaps perhaps people are doing more in the work than we realize. And this may start to bubble up in ways that we start to notice over the next year. And this is something that needs to happen, but it's maybe going to have us wake up to how people are actually sides of people that maybe we didn't realize, and also how that affects the relationship dynamic, right? It might cause some friction, but it's again, minor setbacks, things totally within grasp of being overcome. But this is something that's probably playing out in the next year, and it may cause a little emotional turbulence, but not necessarily a lot because it's a page, so it's not a big amount. Um, mm. And it could also be that maybe people are taking the time to look at some things that maybe they regret and they want to make amends. Maybe people are going to be forthcoming, talking about things maybe from the past uh, where they are seeking forgiveness, or you're wanting to go to them and bring up things from the past and talk about them perhaps in a new light. Perhaps if it's old stuff, because sometimes when we bring up stuff that's really old, you so much time has passed that you've both had the chance to sort of really look at it, and you've obviously grown up and you've grown, and so you have a different perspective of it, and the sharing of that, sometimes that really allows things to close up and heal and be let go of, right? So there might be stuff like that happening because sometimes it's like, I've had my family talk about things that happened in the past, and it's like, that's not how I remember it. And I find it fascinating because it's like, okay, well, that gives me a completely different viewpoint on the whole thing. So I'm getting the feeling there might be some of that going on. So we might be getting some old wounds that are coming up to be healed and looked at from a different way, different perspective. And it may be a little difficult, but it's part of the spiritual growth that's going on in relationships right now. Mm. And if we can come to it with kindness, you can let it heal. And it may deepen the relationships as well. Mm. Anything else there? I keep getting the word trust. So maybe it's going to be able to deepen our ability to trust others as well. I think that's it. Okay, so now we're moving into Scorpio, the house of Scorpio, eighth house. So this could be about sex and intimacy. This could be about shared finances and assets and properties. It's also about sort of the mystery in life. So maybe we're going to find out that I'm just going to start with the intimacy part of things. So that's more romantic, I would say. Maybe we're going to find out that our partners have needs that were not expressed before, and now they're coming out to be expressed. And this, again, might surprise us. And maybe there are things that maybe there's some shame and some guilt around, or even some doubts around, or maybe when they're brought up, it's difficult for the other person to hear. So these might be things that I'm getting things like fantasies, maybe. So maybe fantasies are going to be coming up, or places where um, things that are difficult to express. I feel like there's something else. Okay, so I'm going with the literal word here. So I feel that things that we've been afraid that we will be judged over. And again, so this may be coming to the surface and it may surprise us. May even cause a little bit of resentment or anger or confusion I'm getting. Minor setbacks, so nothing that can't be overcome. It could be, and it doesn't necessarily have to mean it's just about in the bedroom. Maybe there's some other needs being met, not being met as well. Could also be, okay, now we're in the financial aspect. Yeah, I just got we're on the financial axis there. This could also be about how money is being spent in a joint sense. So for example, say say we have a relationship with a man and a woman, maybe the man has been in charge of the money and perhaps he's been spending it in a way or that uh, isn't in alignment with what's been agreed or and this is just very general, but I'm getting the feeling that maybe we're going to see some financial issues that are going to affect relationships come up. Again, minor, not necessarily a big thing, but I'm getting the feeling almost like, yeah, like little hiccups of things that maybe have been kept hidden because like maybe one person in a relationship was trying to make something work but was struggling with it or was perhaps not, you know, doing what was agreed or something like that. So I feel like there may be some issues financially in terms of yeah. So maybe there have been some things that agreed on, like it could be something like spending some money in a way that was not agreed or making investments that was not agreed upon or just um money that's been hidden away, or perhaps even money that's been used inappropriately, or perhaps it could even be things like, you know, somebody's got some kind of addiction or something like that, and it's been hidden somehow. So maybe there's some kind of financial stress that's perhaps been hidden somehow. It may not be a really big thing, but maybe there has been some kind of like under the table stuff going on financially, and perhaps that's going to come to the surface and it may cause a bit of anger and a bit of friction, but it's possible to be resolved. Um, but it could be this the person who's been involved with that has a lot of shame or guilt around it. Feels like it could even be something like somebody losing their job and not telling their partner, right? It could be something like that. Um, but they feel a lot of guilt around it, a lot of shame, and they've been trying to sort of somehow make it get themselves back on top again without having to sort of reveal that the issue is there. So maybe we've got some stuff going on like that, and it's going to be a bit of a surprise, and it could be a lot of uh, could be weighing a lot on that person, but it's possible to work through it. Yeah, so we could be seeing stuff like that going on as well. Hmm. Anything else? So again, it feels like almost like this year, even though it feels like that it's a purge for things that have not been working in a relationship that need to come up to be examined. It doesn't necessarily mean a relationship will end or, you know, is going to have a fatal wound or something like that. But it's almost like you can't avoid this stuff now. That's kind of what I'm feeling, um, and it's totally possible that by going through this and stuff coming up to the surface that happens, you're actually gonna end up stronger because you've gone through it together, and it's the actual hiding of things or trying to make do or not communicating that's actually causing the real problem, and this is a chance, as difficult as it may be, to actually clear the air, say, "Okay, this is all the stuff, let's deal with it." So and sometimes it may not work, it may be that it was too much, or perhaps there was just too many fundamental differences, and now it's clear. And in a particular relationship, is it going to go any further? no matter what kind of relationship it is. So it could be that that happens, but I think we can see this, particularly with the Empress here. I think we need to see it as an opportunity to clear away the things that are weighing our relationships down, weighing us down in relationships as well, so that we can actually have better relationships and so we can grow. So it's what I'm feeling from this, just as a general. Then we've got the Devil, and this is a Sagittarius, and it's opposite the Queen of Wands. So the House of Sagittarius, this is about travel, wisdom, philosophy, education, religion, learning, and ethics. Now, in relationships, I just got may not be the best time for a romantic breakup. Okay. um, but yeah, I'm feeling like this is I'm feeling like this is how compatible are our beliefs and values and ethics, and how we're showing up. Because I feel like they're okay. So what I'm feeling is the places that are incompatible are going to show themselves. And the remedy is to stay in your integrity and not try to make yourself somebody who can fit into a dynamic that actually doesn't work for you. There's something else though. What is it? Mm. Mm. So so I'm getting damaging beliefs, but in relation to mm, I just need to feel into this one sec. Okay, so I'm getting basically it's kind of like I guess this is a fear really. The places where we're afraid to speak our truth in relationships. So we're being asked to examine our beliefs, our damaging beliefs or limiting beliefs, um, where we feel like we can't speak up and be true to ourselves in a relationship. Because that belief that if we can't express ourselves, it's either one of two things. Either we're afraid to be vulnerable and share our truth because it requires us like maybe setting boundaries or sticking to them and all of that. But there's also the fear of, is this going to mean that this is like a fear of rejection or like a fear of um, if we can't see eye to us, what does that actually mean for the relationship? And so sometimes we don't dare to have the conversations we need to because we don't want to know the answers. We don't want the wake up call because we're afraid of what that might mean. So we're being reminded that we can't avoid these conversations with the people in our lives, whatever the relationship is. If there's something wrong, something out of alignment, some kind of compatibility issue. I'm getting the we can't stick our heads in the sand. Yeah. And by sticking to what's true, we get the soul growth from it. No matter what happens, if a relationship comes to an end or the dynamic changes, we stuck to our truth, and that process is what helps us grow and helps us have that mastery of ourselves. But where we are in fear, we're stuck. And we might be stuck in a situation that doesn't serve us. Mm. Okay, something else. Seems to be something about our just a sec. I don't think it's just about having our needs met. It might also be something to do with our spiritual, philosophical outlooks on life. I'm getting a sense of like I'm getting one about the compatibility, but also about the allowing others to have their say. Just a sec. There's definitely something else here. Okay, so this might be about our associations with relationships. How we got burned in the past and how we're carrying those wounds forward. Is it fair to tarnish other people with the same brush? Are we repeating patterns? Okay. Are we repeating patterns from the past that don't serve us? Anything else? Maybe. Something more about guilt and shame. Are we doing things out of obligation? So we feel like we should. I'm getting wounded healer. Because we've got the Empress here. This is a very nurturing card. But I'm getting like the wounded healer dynamic. Are we trying to fix something that's unfixable? Or is not our, is not our, what's the word? It's not our job to fix. And also, yeah, okay, so now I'm also getting, because this is, well, no, it's not Scorpio. But I'm getting the feeling of So I got toxic people in our lives. People who have toxic outlooks, toxic philosophies, toxic morals. How's that impacting on us and our integrity and our ability to nurture ourselves? We might be examining who in our life is damaging in that regard. And it may be a bit of a wake-up call, because maybe some people, they might be very charismatic. Like, for example, narcissists can be incredibly charismatic, and then suddenly you see them in another light, or you're their particular victim, something switches and you see another side of them. Again, seeing people's true colors. We might be being asked to detoxify ourselves, detoxify our relationships. There might be some of that involved as well. Yeah, I think that's what it was. Yeah. Hmm. Anything else? High fried tofu. Yeah, if you stick around. So I know this reading is going way longer than I normally do a Zodiac for, but it seems like there's a lot that the cards want to say right now. But I'm going to do readings afterwards. So I'm almost done. I've got 3 more cards to do. So I'll get there. Okay. So we can now move on. So we've got Capricorn, and we've got the King of Wands versus the Seven of Wands. So Capricorn, 10th house, that's about career, long-term goals, structures, reputation, it's masculinity, fathers. It can be about fame and reputation, yeah. So, yeah. So, okay, I just got like the masculine, because we're at the top here. So we got the feminine here, the divine feminine here, and we've got the masculine. So it's almost like the divine feminine is supporting the masculine here. I have heard some other astrologers talking about how this year is related to the sacred masculine really rising, and I just got reminded of that as I went to this card. Um, and perhaps letting go of toxic masculinity as well. But in relationships, hmm, it's like so this is the path for the next year. It's like we are going to come to a point in the next year. What was it? I just had it on the tip of my tongue. It's like there is this year in relationships, it is it's a spiritual journey. And spiritual journeys are not necessarily easy. That's why we see a lot of different turbulence here. Um, and it is going to require us to walk our own way, walk our own path. Is there anything more that wants to be said than what I already talked about on this? I'm not sure there is. Hmm. Okay, I just got choose wisely as I was looking at this. So I feel like this journey we're going on in next year is going to allow us to choose our relationships wisely, maybe not get us entangled in toxic people, um, go for more nurturing relationships. So the patterns that we've had in the past in terms of choosing our friends, maybe coworkers we hang out with, our relationships, the family members we're connected to, and the dynamics we have there. I think this year is going to allow us to be in a much better place in terms of figuring out what works for us in relationships, and we're going to grow enough that we're going to naturally gravitate towards more nurturing and aligned relationships in the future. So it may be a difficult process. It may be uncomfortable over this year. We may be facing some difficult stuff, some surprising stuff, some karmic stuff, but it's all to make us grow in our ability to discern and foster healthy relationships in the future. Okay, so now we have the House of Aquarius, the 11th house. So this is about groups, friends, social awareness, humanitarianism, technology, hopes, wishes in the future. So in terms of relationships, this is much more about our networks, our groups, our communities, and things like that. And also humanity as a whole, the collective. So we're going to be much more discerning in who we sort of team up with, finding our tribe, and so on and so forth. We may even be surprised. We may find we attract people that we weren't expecting as well. But it could be we're going through some kind of sorting process. So it could be we're rethinking what groups do we want to be a part of, who do we want to network with, collaborate with, consult with, things like that. And this process may be a little uncomfortable because maybe we have to have some difficult conversations. Maybe we have to walk away from some partnerships, agreements, or whatever the case may be. So there is going to be some rethinking in that regard and making sure we're putting our energy into the right groups for us. So we're not spread too thin, and that the energy supports us and we're able to give to that group, and so on and so forth. And it's a nurturing situation, hopefully abundant as well, depending on what the kind of group is. But it may mean that we have to sit on the fence a little bit, gain a little bit more information, and not just jump into things, too early. Yeah, we may need to take our time to work out who's the right people to work with or connect with, or whatever the dynamic is. Yeah. Anything else for that one? I think there's maybe something else. Okay, it's about closing. One sec. It's about keeping options open and don't close doors too soon until you have enough information. Because sometimes we have a tendency to shut down out of fear, or perhaps just limit the options that we're willing to assess because we get overwhelmed. And we may find that there could be people or groups or networks or communities that might sort of like come out unexpectedly towards us, but if we're too closed-minded, we may not sort of see the opportunity there. So even though there's going to be a need for discernment, we have to also make sure that we don't like close doors prematurely, because there could be opportunities we're missing. Yeah. And this puts us in an uncomfortable position because we don't necessarily have hard, fast rules that we can say no, yes, no to. We're in this gray area where we have to actually sort of really sort of take our time, but also sort of like keep open to possibilities that we can't see. Yeah, 'Cause it could be easy to sort of go, "Oh, I've got my group, I don't need to think about anything else," and actually, it could be there was a real opportunity that you just shut the door on, um, because you're in something familiar, and that's good enough. It could be you could have expanded to something additional that could have given you even more of what you needed. Anything else, Yeah. Okay, so then the last one we have, finally, we've got House of Pisces. So this is about endings, healing, closure, spirituality, solitude, karma, the afterlife, limiting beliefs, things that are hidden in the subconscious. So, in terms of relationships, this could be about what we're getting closure on. And it doesn't necessarily mean relationships were ending, because we can have relationships that have ended, but we're still kind of hung up, or we've still got some things to heal and stuff like that. It can also be about karmic, like soul contracts coming to an end, things like that, karmic things that need to be healed. So we are kind of a bit on hold right now with some of that. Some of I've got justice here. Let me just yeah. No, it's not that we're on hold. We're feeling the stuckness of things not being closed up. It's almost like we're about to come into Pisces season in on the 18th, and then we've got the for a month, right? So we're almost like maybe we're waiting for that to come through. Maybe, and this is also over the next year, right? So okay, no, no, there's something else here. How do I put this? Hmm. So I've got the word unseen. That's Virgo. Hmm. It's words and thoughts. Unseen words and thoughts. What's hidden? Okay, so it's not stuff that we're not speaking, stuff that we're not communicating. Okay, so we're going to get closure if we start looking at the things we need to communicate that we have been holding on to. This could also be in situations where, say, the other person is just not in your life anymore. Perhaps there's still a need to vocalize something, or write something down. It's like there's something that wants to come out. It's been on hold. You've been sitting back, maybe wanting some kind of closure, and maybe you need to give yourself the closure. Maybe you've been waiting for something to happen. Maybe you wanted to get it from somebody else. Yeah. Okay. So I just got basically the places where you haven't got closure is what is holding you back, and this is a time where you can release it. So whether it's possible to connect with the other person or not, there is a need to let something go here. So it doesn't just stay here or in your heart unresolved. Um, it's time to let it go, or at least begin the process, because this is happening over a year. So it could be, it takes a while to actually let this go, or to give yourself the closure, or to get the closure if the person is still in your life in some ways. So the places where you've been carrying, yeah, so I'm getting carrying a burden, particularly for a long time, that's left you in this place where perhaps you have this inner conflict within yourself. Maybe you have some anger that's unresolved. Perhaps you've been too dismissive. And it's time to actually forge that middle path yourself. That's what I'm getting. Either by having a conversation with someone or giving yourself a way to give yourself the closure. It's time to move on. And it may be difficult because maybe you've got to look at something that's tough to look at. Something you would rather not look at, something that makes you mad or frustrated or confused. But it's time to let it go. Anything else? Okay, I think that's it, guys. Wow, that was an hour and 45 minutes. Jesus, wow. I don't think I've done a Zodiac spread that's taken that long. I guess there's a lot going on relationship-wise that needed to be spoken about. I hope you got something out of it. I mean, it's not as lovey-dovey as I hoped, but I guess it's the time to really do the work on relationships now, this year in particular. But it's all in love, and it's all leading us to a mastery within relationships, more integrity with ourselves, you know, so that we can actually show up in relationships well and heal from stuff that we've been carrying for too long. Yeah. Wow. I have to admit, I feel like whew, that was a lot there. I feel quite worn out by that, actually. But I'm going to open up to readings. So if you want a relationship-related reading, we're only doing relationship-related readings tonight. You can either ask for a general relationship reading, or if you've got a specific relationship question, you can put it in the chat. I'm going to start packing this up, and then I'll go through in order of who showed up in the chat asking for a reading. I think Dead Chrome, you asked first, so if you're still around, let me know, and I'll get to you. So yeah, I'm going to start packing up. I'll just put it onto the next section. There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to pack up. One sec. So I'm just going to have a little look at the chat because I think I missed a few things. So yeah, I can see you asked Dead Chrome, happy Valentine's Day. It's basically, I have a significant other and you don't date. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Valentine's Day is not the easiest for me. I have, you know how there's some dates where you have anniversaries that are difficult because of associations or memories or stuff like that. Valentine's Day is one of those days for me. Not because I had a bad Valentine's, but because I had some other association with somebody I knew. So it's good for me to have something to focus on that's not allowing me space to really sort of dwell on that. So yeah, Valentine's not the best day for me, but I like being able to do this for you guys though. Makes it fun for me. All right, I'm just gonna clear the deck. Okay. All right, let me see. Dechrome. Let's see. Dechrome, are you still there? If I don't hear from you soon, I'll move on. Not so many people in the chat today, so maybe yes, it's time for a reading. Do you want your reading then? Okay, cool. All right. So do you want a general relationship reading, or do you have a specific question regarding relationships? I'll just get some tea while I'm waiting. No problem. Do you want to? So we're just doing relationship questions. Oh, you had to refresh. Okay, no problem. Yeah. So we're just doing relationship questions tonight because it's Valentine's Day, right? So would you like a general relationship reading, or would you like do you have like a specific relationship question you would like an answer on? Okay. All right. Let me put that up on the screen. All right, Dick Cram. I'm just going to see what deck wants to work with you. Okay, it looks like the Rose Oracle wants to work with you, and then we'll see if anything else wants to work with you afterwards. I get the feeling this one might show off a bit as we're doing this because it's all heart-based, this one. So let's see. Okay. Just going to move this over so I don't keep hitting it when I shuffle. Nearly. Four. There we go. Okay. We've got Rose without thorns. You have a right to your joy, peace, sweetness of life. I feel like I just want to feel into this before I look it up because I feel like there's maybe something wants to come through intuitively first. I'm getting this real coolness in the heart. When I feel coolness, that's usually something releasing. So maybe you've been healing a little bit in your heart of late, making room. Let me just see if there's a message. Okay, now I'm feeling a block in the throat. I'm just wondering if there is something you're not expressing around this. Let me just, we might need to do some tarot with this, but let me just, I'll do the message. But I can feel like it's almost like there's something released in the heart, but something's not being communicated, so perhaps, or struggle to be communicated. But let's, Rose Without Thorns. Trying to heal, yeah. Well, healing is a process, and it doesn't necessarily happen overnight. I get that. But it's like it was almost like I could feel like a third of the heart. There was this coolness around it. So it's like I could feel there's been some work done there, but that doesn't mean that there isn't more to go. Rose Without Thorns. Rose Without Thorns. Here we go. Let's see what it says. Okay. Most roses have thorns that protect the plant. When you walk past, it's so easy to get caught in their spiky stems, as if the thorns themselves are an initiation for the observer to get to the breathtaking beauty and scent of the queen of all flowers in full bloom. However, there are a small number of roses that are unlike most, possessing few or no thorns. And that's what this card is all about. The Rose Without Thorns is an invitation to dive straight into the sweetness of your life, to rest into the softness, to enjoy the delicious fragrance, to rest in and relish what it means to currently be alive in this body, to embrace all the beauty and bliss that life has to offer. You have a right to your joy, and the Rose Without Thorns wants you to take every ounce of it in right. Say that again. You have the right to your joy, and the Rose Without Thorns wants you to take every ounce of it in right now, to celebrate and lose yourself in the sweetness of your life. This is a rare moment in time of deep peace and enjoyment. You're being called to taste all that it has to offer. Drink it all in. You deserve every drop. You've worked for this moment. Embrace it now with open arms. It's safe for you to enjoy this, to welcome this, to embody all of this. And while life is ever changing and forever inviting us to grow, right now your lesson is to be in the delight of it all. And the Rose transmission is I have a right to my joy. I appreciate and drink in the sweet nectar of my life. Now, as I was reading this, what's coming to me is maybe this is a reminder to appreciate where you are right now in your life. It can be very easy to feel like, well, we don't have someone in our lives, that there is this unfulfilled hole, and like there's something missing. And this feeling like we want to be somewhere else. We want to be in the time where we do have somebody again, and kind of wanting to avoid this time right now where we don't, or we don't have somebody who's you know, serious in our lives or has that meaningful connection. And it's almost like we want to jump ahead to where we have that and not realizing that there is a point to where we're at right now. But I'm also feeling like, because there's another card that talks like that, but this one, it's like it's almost like there's something, excuse me, there is something about this moment that could give you joy if you're open to it. And it could be other aspects of your life. But I'm getting reminded of the fact that we need to have a fulfilling and full life ourselves. We can't, it's very easy to make our relationships the thing that is our life. Um, to build our life around it as if that's the only thing in our lives. And maybe this is a time where you can really enjoy other aspects of your life and get richness from that, which then, by going all in on that, can actually put you in a place where you could attract somebody in, because you're living your authentic self, if you see what I mean, and you're in joy. If you can find aspects of your life that are in joy. I don't know if any of that maybe resonates with you, but I'm feeling like we need to do a little bit more digging. Let me just see if the tarot wants to speak now. Or is it another card? Yeah, yeah. So I feel like, let me just see if something else wants to come through. Okay, and the other thing about the rose with the thorns is sometimes when we don't have what we want, we can be bitter about it. But if we can move through life, actually, without that prickly side, we're much more likely to be able to invite in what we're looking for. So if we can be in a place of acceptance of where we are right now, and be open to that and find joy in the little things, then we're in a much better place vibrationally, if nothing else, to be able to share that with others and find those which resonate and are compatible with that, right? Anything else wants to be said? Okay, now I think I'm going to pull from the Moonology deck. The Moonology deck wants to speak, which I find interesting. So, okay, let's see what it has to say. Doesn't quite feel right. Maybe it's close. Oh. Okay, how many? 3. Okay, I'll just bring this down a second. Still see that? Yeah. Okay. New moon in Leo, shine. So it feels like there's this theme of you need to just go and be yourself, man, and just really just shine in who you are, and that's probably just gonna be super attractive to whoever it is that is to come into your life. And sunflowers in tarot could be about uniqueness. Be your unique self. Because if you're being yourself out there in the world, um, people who dig that are gonna are gonna see that and be drawn in. So I get this feeling of, and we've got new, so something new. And Leo is all about romantic relationships, so something new in relationships. So yeah, I think what's been asked is just really be yourself, go and do your thing, whatever that is, and really do whatever brings you joy, um, and just rock that, and you're going to put yourself in a much better position to attract somebody who is in alignment with who you are and compatible with who you are. um all right, so I'm going to just read the we'll see how much this relates to relationships, but I'll read the message for you. Hmm. So new moon in Leo 36. A new day is dawning. You're moving from darker times to light and are well on your way to your desired outcome. Be proud of who you are. Your self confidence has got you this far, so keep on believing in yourself. Sometimes we have to fake it until we make it, and that's okay too. You're on the right track and the future is bright. In relationships, carry yourself with respect, and others will respect you. Whatever challenges you're facing, consider taking a more creative approach. Okay, and it says manifesting focus. This card is especially good sign for matters relating to romance, creativity, children, your own or someone else's, or a situation requiring confidence. Manifesting mindset. Love yourself and step into center stage. Be generous with others, but also be a little bit selfish if you need to be. And the manifestation affirmation is I am magnificent. I love me. So I think that very much in alignment with the well, I think it's because it's the Leo energy, and the Leo can be a little bit like in the limelight. um, you know, quite often it's like you can get a lot of people who like to perform, right? It's a very Leo energy, but in terms of like being on the stage or whatever, right? Um, but I think also you could see it as like, because some people are like too selfless in relationships, and you have to know what you need and make sure that your needs are being met. So don't let it go too much that way, where you're giving everything but not taking care of yourself in a relationship. But because you have the message that is coming through clear is that you have to go and do you. I think that kind of aligns with that as well. Because if by being you completely and putting yourself out there in that regard, whether it's your passions and your hobbies, your work, the communities you're involved in, whatever it is that where you really get joy in life, um, then you're going to find somebody who's actually looking for someone like you and not someone you're portraying yourself to be, or you feel like you have to be in a certain dynamic or environment, right? So yeah, that's what I'm getting. I hope that helps at all. I'm just trying to see, do we need any tarot? No, I'm feeling like tarot doesn't want to speak. So I hope that helps. But I have to admit, New Moon and Leo would suggest possibly maybe there's something on the horizon. So yeah. Yeah, just be yourself. Yeah, yeah, and find and do what brings you joy. Your sign is Pisces. Okay, interesting. Okay, yeah. Mm, mm. And have you had issues like being yourself or following what it is that brings you joy and stuff like that in the past, or getting your needs met in a relationship, things like that? Well, maybe that's too personal a question. I get if that's the case. But, um but yeah, no, the universe wants you to do what brings you joy and to be yourself in all situations. Just be authentic. Um, and hopefully you'll cross paths with somebody who's maybe do something similar to you, or there's some way which you cross that allows you to meet, you know. It could just be that by being yourself, you're naturally just gonna attract a situation where you happen to cross paths, even if it's not like you're doing the same thing exactly or whatever. It could just be you bump into somebody, right? Um, but yeah, because sometimes, like, when we're in between relationships, the best thing we can do is work on ourselves rather than, sort of desperately seeking someone before we've really done the inner work that we needed to do before we're ready for the next thing. And if we are if we are holding a higher vibration because we're doing what we love and we're being our authentic self, that on its own is attractive. And for people who are looking for that, they're going to be able to see you. Um, and also, just energetically, when you're putting out that kind of energy into the world, then there is an you can have energetic pull, so you could actually bring someone in, make it, and it could speed up the process because it could be that there's somebody kind of like out there, but it's like you've needed to do the healing. So before you can they can sort of come in, you needed to work on yourself. And the way that you're being asked to work on yourself right now is obviously by um by being you and unwaveringly. You have some hobbies that are gonna come to fruition, yeah. So Leo is also about creativity, and passions, things that we're passionate about. So it could be that the there's something that is about to sort of like bear fruit in that, that, like you're saying, coming to fruition. So it could be that through this you're actually going to maybe cross paths with somebody. But even if it's not the case, by you really being in your element and what you do, and gaining that confidence, you're naturally putting out an energy that makes it more likely that somebody could be attracted in. Because if you're in a situation where, say, you're needing someone to fill a void in you, something that you're not pursuing in you, you're not giving to yourself, then you're going to attract a different kind of relationship. Whereas if you're whole in yourself and you're building a really rich, fulfilling life for yourself, you're going to come into a relationship with another person who's also doing the same thing, and you're meeting your match in that sense. So that's a much healthier connection, if that makes sense. It's up to you. You don't have to say what those hobbies are if you don't want to, but you can if you want. Oh, wow. Okay. Get an older car that you can restore, spend some time fixing. Okay, well, let's just get rid of you. Can I delete this? Really, I can't delete a chat. Okay, whatever. Oh, no. That's not what I meant to do. It'd be nice if I could actually just maybe have to leave it on YouTube. Anyway, whatever. We're not going to pay attention to them. I'm just going to do me, right? I live in the yeah. Okay. Well, then those are the things that you're feeling called to do. Then do them. You know, and you never know how those things might lead you to crossing paths with someone. You know. And it could also be that by doing something, it leads you to something else that leads you to something else, or go into some group, or you just don't know where things that you're passionate about are going to lead, you know. But it's definitely asking you to do what brings you joy. And if you're living your life to its fullest, then you're going to bring your best to whatever relationship comes next in your life. So. I wish you all the luck, both with your passions and future love endeavors. I hope it works out for you soon. Um, okay, I feel like that was the. Yeah, okay, well, there's a possibility, right? You know, exactly. You never know. You might meet someone on doing that. But make sure when you do that, you're primarily going because that's your passion. But, you know, it's the thing about meeting people when it's through passion. Sometimes we can get caught up in wanting the love interest more than actually following our passion. So as long as you're going there with the primary thing being, I want to go to the shooting range because I want to shoot guns, then that's great. But if you find that the only reason you're really going is because you hope you might meet someone, then there's something you need to work on there. But that's the only thing I'm going to say. But yeah, you know, you don't know, that might be the thing. But if you've been feeling like called to go and do that, then follow it, and you never know what may happen. So, all right. All right. So let me just have a look in the chat. I think there was somebody else who wanted a reading. Yeah, good. As long as that's the case, then you go for it. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So let me have a look in the chat now. If anybody else is on and they want a reading, let me know in the chat. Now, I think it was yeah. Fried tofu, are you still there? Because if you are there, I can give you a reading. Otherwise, if there's anybody else watching that wants a reading, let me know. You know, there's not so many people online today, so maybe people are out doing something on Valentine's. That'd be nice. Oh, I didn't see your comment there, Melt Like Butter. Hello. Okay, so I'm not hearing from you, Fried Tofu. So I don't hear from you in a minute. If there's anybody else who wants a reading, let me know. Otherwise, I'll start wrapping up. I'll just put these cards away and clear the decks. And you know what? I didn't check the tip jar. Let me just double check that because I keep forgetting to check. Not that my streams made you big yet. No. But you never know. All right. It could be that the Zodiac was more important. So I'm not seeing anyone else on. Let me just do a bit more. There we go. All right. Well, I'm just going to drink a bit of tea. If no one said anything in the chat, then I'm going to wrap up. I didn't want today to go too long. I've got a bit of an early start tomorrow. All right. Well, thank you everybody who's been watching. I'm going to wrap up now. So, once again, if anybody ever wants... Oh, yeah, thanks, Ted Crow. Oh, you're so welcome. You're so welcome. And thanks for showing up. You're a regular now. Yeah, so what was I going to say? So yeah, for those who are either in the chat right now or are watching on a replay, I have limited slots available if people do want a one-on-one reading with me. And you can have a quick reading if you've got just want a general check-in, or you've got a limited budget, or we can have a full reading where, you get an hour to dive into things and I set up sacred space and all of that. So those are available on my website. Oh. Oh, hello, Solace. Oh, it's good. Yeah. Okay. So you got notifications turned on. Well, yeah. It's really funny. I have people tell me about my accent as well. But what's really funny when... Okay, cool. Cool, Dead Crown. Well, you're very welcome if you want to. That's the website where you can do it. And there are different options depending on, your budget and stuff. You're welcome. Oh, so you're listening to me while you're at work. Where are you again, Dead Crow? I forget. I take it you're over the seas. So I'm here in Denmark. I'm originally from the UK, but that's where this accent comes from. Canada, that's it, right? Thank you. Yeah, I thought it was over there somewhere. Yeah, but in the UK, it's like I feel like I have the most plain accent you get. But people from like across the pond love this accent. It's like, okay. Oh. But anyway, it's... Oh, it's 3. Yeah. That's fair enough. So it's still pretty early for you. It's like 20 past 11 here for me, so it's a bit late. Solace. Okay, so I was just coming to an end, but if you want a reading, we were just doing relationship readings because it's Valentine's Day. So if you want a relationship reading, let me know and I can pull some cards for you. Otherwise, I'll wrap up, and people can also book one-on-one readings with me as well through my website, which is on the screen right now. But yeah, if you want to, you wouldn't mind having a reading. Okay, all right. So, would you like a general relationship reading just to see what generally comes up, or do you have a specific question relating to relationships that I can ask the cards? Either's fine. Let me just put your comment up. It's going to be general. Okay. All right, I'm just going to put that up. All right. Okay. So let me just see what deck wants to work with you. You just caught me in time. Well done. I guess you needed the reading. Okay. So let's see what deck wants to work with you. I just want to make sure. Does it feel like it's the tarot? It's not spirit animal. Okay, let's do the Rose Oracle. There might be another one afterwards. I'm just going to move this back again. Your tummy's like that, yeah. Divine tummy. 4. Interesting. I don't know if I've pulled this one before. The Rose Thread. Inner call, soul-led, the mystic, living courageously. I just want to look at this for a second. Sitting by the waters. What is like emotion, the heart, fulfillment? Okay, I'm going to read the message and then see what intuitively I get around it. Okay, the Rose Thread. Here we go. This is the card of the mystic, one who's in touch with the depths of the inner world and the inner weavings of the world and beyond, way beyond. They're dedicated to listening to the mysterious voice whispering within, to follow their intuition and living in accordance with that, to living by being guided by the rose thread. Following the rose thread means being dedicated to walking the way of the rose, to being in service to humanity and dedicated to writing a new story. It requires courage and faith and the willingness to pave a new path. The rose has been a symbol of the mysteries for thousands of years. The rose thread is the invisible path that the mystic follows. It takes courage to trust it, for the path is different for every single person. This is why it requires courage to trust the inner call, and those who do so find great reward. This card is a sign that you're being called to follow this initiatory path, led by the thread deep within. You may find that you're in a place of great change and are being called to have faith and gather up the courage to take the next step. This card is a sign of encouragement to keep taking the next step. It's acknowledging the courage it takes to live a soul-led life and honoring you for always taking the leap. And the transmission that comes with it is, even when things feel unclear, especially when they do, I trust that I'm always being led from within. So I feel like there's a couple of things going on here. I feel like, although we started with the relationship question, sometimes spirit will start talking about something else. So obviously there's a spiritual aspect to this card, but I feel that it could also apply to your relationships. So you have this deep connection with your intuition. And sometimes when we're led a spiritual path, it can take precedence for a while, or it can lead us in very unexpected directions. But so I'm feeling like this can be a reminder that it may be unclear, or you may not So if you're not in a relationship, for example, it may be that you're not sure how you're going to navigate towards one, or why you're on a specific path you are and how it's going to lead you there. But there is this feeling of, again, that leap of faith, that feeling of trusting that as long as you're following that inner call, you're going to be led to whomever you need to be led to. Um, there's something else. What was it? It could also be that maybe your spiritual path needs to take a priority for a little while. It's not to say they're mutually exclusive or anything like that, but sometimes that can happen. That we need to put that first. I feel like there's something else though. Let me just see. Maybe some tarot would help. Mm. Yeah, that's really pretty. I could bring it a little closer for you. You can see. Ooh, it's a bit hard to figure. There we go. There's a woman there, and then she's also by the waters there. Yeah. I'm feeling like there's something else there. Living courageously. Hmm. Have you gone through something with relationships that either maybe you took a risk that didn't work out, or maybe has led you in a place where you've been afraid to take a risk? Because it could be that this card is trying to remind you that the courage that you have in your spiritual life could also be applied to your love life. I'm just wondering if that resonates at all. But I do feel there's something more to be said. Let me just see. I don't think it's the tower though. Really? I think the Rhinology wants to play again. Okay. All right, let's see. It's interesting the tarot hasn't wanted to speak, because I would have thought that would have been easier for relationship questions, but you got to go with what calls. Okay, so let me just focus a sec. Okay, I just had something drop in my head. It talked about initiation. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, that makes a lot of sense then. Because I was just, what was it that just dropped in my head? It was something about initiation. What was that again? I think it was basically saying that actually, the spiritual path of initiation might actually have required you to step back a little bit in your relationships. Maybe because there's some healing to be done, but maybe because the spiritual path has actually needed your focus a little more. And it's not to say that that would necessarily be that way forever. Um, But yeah, I think maybe the spiritual path is going to um help you gain your courage again in another aspect of your life, and then it's going to start translating into other areas of your life, or maybe start building a foundation where you can heal. um but I'm just gonna see what the Moonology wants to say. And thanks for sharing. That's very brave. I know this stuff isn't easy. Is that it? No. Okay. You sure? 4. Okay. Oop. That was talky. That was chatty. I'll put that on top. Okay. All right. Let's see. I'll just put this one back now. Is that in here? Okay. So. First quarter moon of Virgo, assess the situation. So, Virgo is about healing. And the first quarter moon, so it's almost like you're still in the early stages of healing. And there's a need to So I'm getting, you're in a step back process. You're stepping back right now. There's something else to come through. 1 sec. I'm getting something about something like the mind healing the heart. Like, because the Virgo is very analytical. So it's almost like there's a need to mentally assess what's happened to you. Before the emotional healing can fully I want to say take place, but maybe for it more to like integrate and embody more. I'm gonna start reading, and then we'll see what else comes through. First quarter moon. Let me I just wanted to check something as well. First quarter moon. Okay, so during this phase, challenges, obstacles may arise. So you're So yeah, so this is maybe a time where maybe the challenge is that you're being asked to go without, or you're having to deal with face what it is that you went through that needs healing. So it definitely feels like you're not in the place where maybe this is about to happen in your life. There's still some need to work through some stuff. And perhaps you're because I got the phrase step back, maybe you're literally having to put this kind of aspect of your life a little bit on a shelf because there are other things that are more important as well as your healing. But let me just read this particular card and see how much of it could relate to relationships. Hmm. Or what it sparks in me. 64. Okay. Stop, breathe, and take stock. Perhaps you've taken on too much. Now's the time to be reliable and practical. Lazy is your enemy. Also, don't be too influenced by the crowd and what they're saying. Do you still want what you used to want? And as much? If so, are you really doing what needs to be done to make your dreams real? Express how you feel, but do it without too much self criticism or criticism of others. Make an honest inventory about where you could do more to manifest your dreams. Um, so, manifesting mix. The energies at play here are a mix of flirtatious, shy, inquiring, and hesitant. You need to work on them in your favor. The manifesting mindset. This card asks you to be mentally flexible. Whatever challenges you face, your current situation is unlikely to be at a total impasse. Okay, so maybe there's still room to work on this, even though it's a challenging time in your life. Um, hmm. Yeah, I think that's all we need to say right now. So I'm feeling like, again, because this could be about any aspect in our life, but if we're taking it as relationship, that this is a need to a time to sort of reflect, take a step back, assess what's been going on. Um, so out of the energies, the one that sticks out for me the most is the hesitant, um, but there's inquiring as well. So it's like I'm getting the feel. Okay, so what I'm getting through is that even though this is maybe a time to step back, um, because you've gone through betrayal and some difficult times, the other message that I'm getting is to make sure that you don't use it as an opportunity to get stuck in being totally withdrawn or closed off to this aspect of your life. Healing needs to occur, and so you need to be able to look at certain things. Um, but it may not be the time to really go into like pursuing like I'm going to make this a priority in my life. I don't feel like that's where you're at right now. Your healing may be a priority, and your spiritual path may be in some way helping with that, even if it's not clear exactly how that's happening. Because sometimes we don't totally understand what's happening when we're on a spiritual journey. Um, it could be for multiple reasons. Um, but yeah, it feels like that your spiritual aspect needs to be more of a priority, and that you need to do some healing work before you can actually sort of really embark on letting someone in again. That doesn't mean that you have to be totally closed off to certain things, but it does mean that you have to really assess um, where you're at and knowing what you can and can't comfortably deal with right now, where your boundaries are. Um, yeah. And because Virgo, again, this is about where we're in service, and I get the feeling that, yeah, your spiritual path really is um, important right now. It could be that there's almost a need to sacrifice this side of you for a little bit, not entirely, but it's almost like because you're still haven't fully healed, it's an opportunity to put the spiritual side first. Um, before you sort of go into that, because obviously letting in a new romantic interest can take time and can take energy and investment, right? So your energy is probably more needed in the spiritual aspects of your life right now, and making sure that you're doing the healing work. But I'm getting the feeling that there is this need to maybe assess your um, thoughts around what happened to you. It's almost like the healing has to be mental first before it can start getting deeper into the emotional stuff. Maybe there's a need for a bit of distance from it, and maybe working it on a sort of mental level makes it easier to start with. I'm not sure. Um, hmm. It may even be because Virgo is an earth sign. It may even be that when you start working with the emotional side of it, it needs to be more body work. Could be stuff that's trapped in the body, or if you've got intimacy issues, maybe stuff like that. So it could be that it needs to be sort of mental and body work. Um, Maybe going straight into the heart is too much. I don't know. Mm, yeah, just trying to think. So I'm trying to feel if there's anything else. Hmm. Feeling a little tension in the body. Yeah, um, like around the knees and the lower legs. Mm. So it's almost like mm, I want to say that which holds you upright. It's had to that which is yeah. It's almost like how do I say this? It's like these parts of the body have been like it's almost like been working overtime and have had to sort of form into tension um in order to sort of like keep you upright, keep you going. Um so maybe there's some body work to be done in that in your lower legs. I don't know. Or it could be symbolic of maybe you need some grounding. Maybe there's some energy stuck there. It needs grounding. Again, we've got Virgo, we've got an earth energy. Maybe you need to ground a bit more. Maybe that would also help you with your spiritual practice. Um, yeah. It feels like there's something stuck in your body that wants to release. Um, Almost like a tension that you don't know is there until it relaxes. Um, and I think when it releases, it might be a little emotional. So don't be surprised if you cry. It might have been that it was necessary for you to store this in your body because you needed to like do other things. Um, but there'll come a time where you'll need to release that probably before you actually start really moving into pursuing a new relationship. Because it might be you need to clear something out so that you can actually make space. Anything else? I just got trust your gut. I don't know if that's towards people or maybe going back to the intuition thing again. And now I'm feeling something in the jaw. And that could be maybe there's some anger. It could be tension again. It could be I know it's tension, but sometimes it can be anger. Maybe some anger that wasn't expressed or hasn't been released yet. Now I'm feeling the heart. Yeah. I'm almost like getting two pieces of the heart, like the heart got broken in two. One side of it feels more painful than the other, though. The right side feels more painful, actually. So it's the masculine side. So being hurt by the masculine, maybe. Or being hurt in what you didn't do or did do, or what they did or didn't do. Anything else? Breath work might also help you. I don't know if you have times where your breath gets too shallow or you have anxiety or anything like that. But being mindful of the breath as well as the grounding. And if the emotion gets too much, just stop and then just try and whatever it is you're doing and give yourself some time to just breathe and get your breath under control. Yeah, I had something release in my like digestive system, I guess. As I said that, I don't know if you get nerves where like it affects your stomach or digestive system. Perhaps you lose your appetite or you get queasy or something like that. But I just got a release, as I said about the breathing. So maybe it will help your digestive system or your nerve, the vagal nerve that goes through there, which also starts in the jaw. So it could be maybe you've got some vagal nerve activation, and actually doing things that calms that would really help you. Yeah. Anything else? It feels like it's fading now. I'll just make sure there's nothing else. Do you get headaches at all? So I'm feeling something here. Or it could, well, let me just see. Because it could be the third eye. Could be maybe that's activating as part of your spiritual work. I don't know. I realize I can't see if you're commenting right now. I'll check it in a minute. I'm also getting really open crown chakra. So I do feel that you've yeah, see, I'm wondering if these practices are also going to help you with your intuition and psychic ability, because I'm feeling very strongly now here and here. The body seems to have calmed down. So calming the body helps to bring these more online. Anything else? Crown chakra seems very open, I have to say. A lot of energy I'm feeling now. I think that may be it. I'm just going to bring myself back. Sometimes I go off like that. So let me see what you've been writing. Yeah, your mind and body emotions haven't had time to process a whole lifetime of not so pleasant things. Yeah, that's what I was picking. That's what I was feeling. Like it's a lot. I think you've had to store stuff in your body because you haven't had that time to process it. Yeah, it makes sense. If you've been going through a lot, it takes time to process that. Jamelia, I'm only doing relationship questions tonight because of it being Valentine's Day and all. But if you want to come back in my next live stream, if you've got a similar issue, then you can ask me whatever question you like. And if you want to know how to get notified, the best way is at my Facebook group. Although you can always follow me on Facebook or Twitch or YouTube, whichever you want. Just check your last comments, Lars. Yeah. Okay, so you're talking about the healing needs to takes place along with the spiritual life. Yeah, I was getting that too. I think it's going to go hand in hand. I think that the healing work is going to help you open up your psychic ability because I felt the activation in the body, like where some stuff was being stored, and I could feel the tension and all of that. And then as soon as I got the grounding and the breathing, it was like the body started to calm down, and then suddenly I could feel your third eye and crown chakra coming online. So I feel that even if it takes time to go through everything, you're going to have times where maybe you get triggered or you're just having a difficult day and the emotion takes over. And those are the times where you need to give yourself the self-care and to ground, to breathe, to calm down again, because that's going to then allow, because when we're in the fear state, we shrink our brain back to the reptilian brain. And once we calm down again, we can bring on the other parts of our mind again. So it could be that you need to focus on the healing to support your spiritual work, but your spiritual work is also hand in hand going to help with your healing. I think it's going to be two sides of the same coin for you. And then as that progresses, at some point you may heal enough that you're actually going to be ready to bring someone into your life again or open up into your life again. But I think the healing and the spiritual side of you needs to be your focus right now. Yeah. Yeah. So I hope that helps. I think that was everything that was coming through. But you're welcome to add your feedback on on the reading if you want. Um, but yeah, I could really feel in the body that the yeah. I think the vagal nerve. I think if you look up, there are certain techniques you can do, the breathing techniques or massage techniques. These kind of things can help really calm your nervous system, and I think that that might be really helpful for you to look into, because I was feeling it here, I was feeling it in the stomach, a little bit in the heart. So I think that working with the vagal nerve to calm your nervous system might actually be uh, quite useful for you in that process, um, as well as grounding and working on your breath and keeping your breath, not letting it get too quick and too shallow as we do when we get anxious. Yeah, no, it's okay. Every reading is different, and sometimes the reading requires me to go sort of into body oracle mode, and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes I end up channeling, or connecting, with like a spirit guide or something. It just depends on the reading, so don't worry about that. This is what I do. But I can understand that what you've been through is really intense, and so I'm not surprised that we ended up going in that particular direction in terms of what it comes through. But um, I'm glad that it was reaffirming your experience, and help give you a little clarity on what to focus on. I wish you really well with your healing journey. I know these things take time, and also your spiritual journey, because it's wonderful. Another spiritual worker out there in the world. So uh, I hope uh, I hope you get everything you need. But you know, obviously you have to do things in your own time and your own pace, and it's going to unfold the way it needs to specifically for you. And you don't compare yourself to anybody else, and their path, and yeah. um I hope you're able to give yourself the time and space you need to do the healing, and that yeah, and I wish you well in whatever life brings you next. So what was that other one? Okay. You said, okay, I'm feeling like, Jamila, I'm feeling like I need to stop. That last reading was quite intense, and I didn't really want to go over midnight today, because it's been 3 hours for me now. So I think I'm going to bring it to a close. But you're welcome very much to come back next time. I'm sorry I wasn't able to get to you today. Um, yeah, I can feel I need to take a break now and do some self care. But thank you everybody for watching. And yeah, if you want to know when I'm next going to be live, you can join my Facebook group, which you can see below. And if you want a one-on-one reading, then you can find that by going to my website here. And I have different kinds of readings. I have like quick readings for those who just want to have a quick pulse, a quick check-in, and or have a limited budget, things like that. And I also do full readings where we set up sacred space, so we give yourself a whole hour where we can dive into something if it's a difficult situation or complicated situation. We might need to ask a few different questions and stuff like that. So I do a range of different things. I have a limited number of spots, but you can find out where I'm available on my website. Otherwise, I'm planning to go live in a couple of weeks. I'm finding doing it every 2 weeks seems to work well with me around my music and taking care of myself and the house and all of that. So I'm thinking of doing it on the leap day on the 29th of February. I forgot it was a leap day until I looked at the calendar the other day. And that will be a chakra reading, which is going to be how do we best navigate the current energies for the next month. And then I'm not sure if I'm going to have a specific theme, probably not. But and then I'll just open up to ask the cards anything, so people can just ask any kind of question. So Thank you very much. I think that was everything. Yeah. Yep. So thank you very much, everybody, for watching and tuning in. No matter whether you like Valentine's Day or not, whether you're in a relationship or not, no matter what your situation, lots of love to you. And I hope you enjoyed this reading. And I will see you next time. Bye.